Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to Trademarks Made Easy. And I'd like to give a big, warm welcome to Miss Paulina Masson, which is such a beautiful name. And let me just tell you a little bit about Paulina. I have her biography here. I thought I had it. So Paulina is the founder of Shopkeeper, and she's also an Amazon seller. She calls herself a numbers girl, and I'm definitely not a numbers girl. So I think this conversation is going to be interesting. Her favorite topics are on optimizing profits, pricing strategies, and ways to save on Amazon fees, which I'm sure everyone is looking to do. Her talks are always very practical and full of actionable tips. So again, I want to extend a very warm welcome to Paulina, and I want to thank you so much for speaking with me today. So can you tell me a little bit more about you, about Paulina?
Sure. Hey, everyone. And Suzi, thanks for having me here. Paulina is a numbers girl, like you heard. So I'm actually a software developer by background. And at some point in my life, I discovered e-commerce. And I thought I want to be an Amazon seller. And that was exactly 2014 when most of us jumped on the train of the gold rush leading to Amazon. So I was one of these people. And when I became an Amazon seller, being a software developer, I just kept noticing things that I could build for myself as a little tool, to do that or to do this. And that's how Shopkeeper came about. I did build the original software myself, but then I hired a team. Once people started asking me for it, my brother was a seller and then the husband, and then they shared on Facebook group. So once people started asking for that app, and I decided that it's time to make it commercial product. So we hired a team and we started a company, which is now a successful product that it is.
That's such a great story, Paulina. I love that. And people can find you at shopkeeper.com, right?
Right.
Okay, now I'll definitely have a list of contact information for you, including like your social media if you want that on here, and a direct link to your website. So let's talk a little bit about, you say you're a numbers girl, and I think that's really cool because I feel like women are a little bit underrepresented in the software development industry. So I think it's really cool that I just feel like you set such a great example for other women and younger women who are, coming out of school and they're looking at science, tech, engineering, and math, STEM industries here in the US. So let me ask you, how did you get into software?
I don't know. I've been always a computer person. It's just something that happens naturally, I guess. Since the first time I saw it, it's just that the first time I saw a computer, I was like 12, and then went home, and then I couldn't sleep. The whole night I was just chatting with my brother. Oh, this green screen, this was so interesting, and this did that. And when you press it, I just was so fascinated by it. So I guess, the first impression does it stall.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's true, there are not so many girl software developers. When I was at university, there was only 2 of us in a 200 people class. So
Wow.
it's totally not so many. But I think these days, when people grow up with phones and devices, from since 2 years old, they look at a device. I think probably there will be many more software developers because of that. It's just easier to fall in love with a computer, and the magic of software development is not in the numbers. It's not in that scary world of dark screen and typing something. It's actually that you take the blank page, whatever color it is, the black or white, you write something and then you build it from scratch. It's sort of like an architect, but digital one. You build magic. Whatever you invent, it's there, and I just totally love it. You can create amazing things, and you are the one who's inventing it. And that control over something is just so amazing. I just can't even describe it. You just get lost for hours and hours and hours, and you can just completely lose yourself in it.
I love that because I can feel your enthusiasm all the way across the pond. And I think that's amazing. And I feel like you're just such an inspiration to young girls who are interested in this field. We'll get into pricing psychology in a little bit, but if there's any piece of advice you could give to women out there who are interested in getting into software development, what is your biggest piece of advice?
Probably, I guess it's hard to say what the world looks like these days. I did graduate 10 years ago, right? So it's a little bit different world out there right now with TikTok and all of these different changes.
Yeah, so fast, everything changes.
Like, yeah, the biggest change is probably that people, I'll tell you what it is. The biggest difference when I'm looking at TikTok and the people who are sharing online and how they're sharing, it's so different from my generation, which is Facebook generation. After me, there was Instagram generation, and there's, Snapchat, and then there's TikTok. And now I actually got obsessed by TikTok recently because I went on there and everyone is with their phone. They are not, us girls, my age girls, we only put on Facebook the most pretty pictures of us, the best looking ones. Now on TikTok, you just woke up with your hairband and the messy room behind you and you say, hey guys, I just woke up. It's just, there is no secrets. You show yourself. And it's surprising how amazing, how interesting is to watch that, So for those girls, I guess, who are right now living that world, when they're not shy to show who they are, the real world is out there, and the first thing you could do is just learn, inform yourself on what there is about business and where do you want to be, and about software development. Follow other software developers that are women. There are so many, methods now to follow someone. And because everyone is sharing so openly, they're, since the morning till the evening, they're sharing what they're doing. Just inform yourself and try to experience it without having to actually go and get a software development job or even start studying it. So feel how it is, and then you will start understanding if that's for you or not. So just the first thing, inform yourself and try to little bit look around and learn what there is, and try on that hat first, before you even jump in.
Yeah, before you jump in, for sure. I think that's really interesting what you said about TikTok. I am not on TikTok. It's fairly new to me, although I know it's not super new, but my niece has sort of been on it and plays around with it. And, I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, one more social media platform to think about, right? It's just there. It feels like as soon as kind of everyone gets tired of one social media platform, there's another one coming down the line that we have to kind of get used to. But I like the idea of just being able to get up and take a picture of yourself, right after,
Right. But have you noticed about TikTok? If you look at Google Trends today, and you will see it's been for the last year since it's launched as a TikTok, they were growing slowly up. And just the last 30 days, it's been booming to the 100% growth.
I wonder why, do you know what it has?
Gary Vee started promoting it 30 days ago. Maybe that's why. He's also an investor. But it's really amazing platform. I think it started as this lip syncing app, but it's going to become another Facebook. And people who are promoting their Amazon products on there, I've seen they are doing amazing. In 2 days, you can get 4,000 followers just because there is nobody else doing in that, topic. And it's just, that's the opportunity right now. So it's just my advice, jump on it.
That's interesting. So let's talk about that really briefly. How are you seeing people promoting their Amazon products on TikTok? Are they actually videoing themselves using it, or?
So I looked up a few examples. I was curious as well how they're doing it. So there's this one man selling wood products that he handmade. I think he hand makes them, or maybe just finishes them up. So just the videos on TikTok, you can have either 15-second or 60-second long video. So he basically just, makes a video of how he polishes it or oils the board, and there's like 10,000 likes for that one, And then the next is something else, and there's, and that's it. And he sells the products. Another guy is selling, all he does is he has 428,000 followers.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and ice cream, he shows with his big muscles how he makes ice cream, but actually he sells he sells the little decorations, accessories for the ice cream on Amazon, so the ones that you stick on the ice
And
cream
he's
once
like
you're
this
done.
big meaty guy, like a big beefy guy.
No, but he has very nice, good structure, but there are muscles. And when he makes, the handmade ice cream, that's what he's making. And all of his videos are just from different angles, different chocolate flavors, and different accessories. So it's amazing. They're doing, and I've seen just simple guy. Actually, one of my friends, so he's a UK entrepreneur. He just posted 3 videos 2 days ago saying that I am joining TikTok and I'll be talking about how to do online business. And he already has 2,000 followers in those couple days. It's just amazing because there is not many other people doing, that, and people are searching those hashtags. So it's just this time is the boom, like the old days of Instagram, so I highly recommend jumping on the train and getting into that gold rush.
Jump on there. Yeah, take advantage of it. I mean, heck, after we get off here, I just might go get, I swore the other day, I was with my niece and I was like, I am not getting involved in another social media platform because she was doing a video of me, and it was kind of funny because she was telling me, she was directing me, right? Like she would say, okay, now do this. And then she like added music to it.
Yes.
And after I watched it, it was actually really, really funny. Like I look like a big nerd, and that's what made it just so funny. And I was like, okay, that's hilarious. I don't care if people see this. This is so funny. And she did whatever she was doing to it. And then like a few minutes later, she's like, oh, there's like 40 people that have seen it already. And I was like, am I going to go viral?
It's possible.
It's possible.
That's how they started. Yeah, they started as lip syncing app because
Was it Musical.ly? Was it
Musical.ly? It was Musical.ly, right? But that is now has the potential to become another platform like Facebook or Snapchat with more general content. So not only the lip syncing. If you search the hashtags business, online marketing, social media marketing, all these things, you will see a lot of good content that is just from, people talking. They're not singing, they're not lip syncing. It's just they're talking, and it's very nice how you can edit your video later. You can title it what you're talking about. You can edit yourself very easily with the phone. So while you on your way to work, you just say, okay, so today my agenda is this, and I'm hoping this is going to work out with this seller or that, something like that. And people just follow you. So it's just a big opportunity right now. You should totally
I'm going to get off this interview and I'm going to go get TikTok, and I'm going to go follow my niece. I'm going to stalk her, right? I've got to keep an eye on her. She's a teenager. And then I'm going to follow you. So you're going to be like my first 2 people that I'm going to follow. So
sounds good. Let's do that.
Despite the fact that I said no more social media, but you know what? I'm going to check it out. Why not?
Yeah, there's a good way to engage with the others. For example, if you follow Gary Vee, you could leave, it's called, I think, there's a duet option, or there's like a response option where you can basically create a video with his original video and your little picture in it, and in that little picture you can ask a question. So for example, if you make videos about trademark issues and so on, I can actually ask you questions by creating another video on top of yours, and then you can reply, and people can, it's just like very, very interesting ways to engage, and it makes it, and Gary Vee uses it. So if you analyze his account, how he uses it, and try to apply that to your own niche, you can really have a lot of nice new followers.
Interesting. I'll talk about some trademarks, but you have to promise to like ask me something back. So there's some engagement going on.
Okay. But trust me, it's not only kids there. It's not only kids.
It's not only teenagers. Okay.
No, it's
I'm gonna
a lot of
trust you on
adults. Yeah.
Awesome. So we've talked about social media. So let's talk. I wanted to ask you, you said that you're a numbers person. And so I would love to talk with you a little bit about pricing psychology. I think like I've read little, bits and pieces about pricing psychology in the past when I've been pricing my own services. So let's talk a little bit about pricing psychology and why like this intrigues you in particular. Like, what should we be using 99-cent endings or like endings with like no cents in our listings and things like that? So yeah, give us a few tips, Paulina.
All right. Yeah, it's my favorite topic. So the way I got into it, because I've been an online entrepreneur for about 10 years since I graduated. And if you're internet marketer, you'll probably notice that many of internet marketers are using sevens at the end, right? Mm-hmm. And if you go to Walmart and so on, you'll see 95 at the end. And many retail stores are using 99 at the end. So it seems like they're using 5, 7s, and 9s a lot.
Right.
And actually you may think, okay, so what's the psychology behind this? Like, why would you? And the answer is very simple. Well, $29.99 comparing to 30 round number. Well, first one 20 something, second is 30 something. So the answer is pretty basic, right? But actually what happens psychologically to us from seeing the prices 99 everywhere, because we are so used to seeing that, we automatically assume that 99 ending means some sort of a bargain. A bargain often means something lower quality, right? If it's cheap, that is lower quality. So that's the thing where you can monetize on. If you're an Amazon seller and if you are selling luxury items or you want to target those luxury buyers, it's advisable that you use 00 at the end instead of making it 97, 95, or 99. So that will give that effect of, oh wow, something's different. So must be not cheap. So must be good then, right? So it just happens in milliseconds. But actually, if you want to give this luxury feel, take the same silk sheets and price it $29.99 or 30 round. Well, 30 round will give that more luxury impression. It's just hard to even explain why it is, but because of that 99 ending. And now the ones that I mentioned, 5, 7, and 9, are actually charm numbers. These are the most commonly used endings. And again, because of that, we became conditioned to believe that those digits mean better bargain. So now when you have your prices, and I tested that, for example, I had this dress, and I'm selling dresses on Amazon. I had this dress for $34. And I read a study online that they had something for $34 and they switched it to $39 and it sold better, actually. So I tested it and I didn't have competitors who were competing with me for the price very closely. So I could make the jump of $5 and actually it did sell better at $39. And I don't know, just like maybe it was not enough statistical significance, but I kept it at $39 and I keep selling it to this day. So the trick there is the way they explained it in the research article is that if you use a 9 in it instead of the 4, right? Not 34, but 39, because 9 seems like a better deal when we are quickly skimming, because we are skimming everything, right? Millisecond you spend, 34 sounds like a bigger number somehow, right? Because the 4 is not such a common bargain charm digit. So I recommend to switch up all of your prices that you have right now. If you have any endings in 4, 6, or 8, to switch them up to 5, 7s, and 9s if you want to imply that it's cheaper than your competitor or that it is actually a bargain item. So it's a very nice trick to do, just to switch up the digits in your prices. And if you cannot jump the $5 difference like I did from 34 to 39, just jump to 37, just closely to 35 if you can, just a little bit. So you'll make more profit and the customer will feel like getting a better deal as well. So it's interesting how you can use that.
It's interesting. And I think you hit the nail on the head that it is that we are conditioned, right, to think that 99 cents is like a bargain price. So, and like you said, everything happens in just a millisecond. It's the same thing with branding and trademarks. Sometimes we don't even really realize how these things are impacting us every single day as a consumer, but people like and you know what I mean? Like, how to manipulate it and kind of massage it on the back end so that you increase sales. And that's such a great story. I love this because you're not dropping, you didn't drop your price. You raised your price by $5. So
That's right.
that's pretty cool. So how did you kind of like discover pricing psychology? Did you just kind of fall into it, or were you just sort of intrigued, or did you come across someone else doing it?
So I do a lot of optimizations in terms
Okay.
of prices and costs, um, just because I run Shopkeeper, right, which is profit calculator. So very often I have customers coming to me and asking, where can I tweak something that I could make more profit? So it's always about making more profit, and that's how it started. How can I play with the price carefully? That I would not lose my rankings but still make more money. So from that, I started investigating and looking up the research that's been done, in other fields. It's interesting that for Amazon sellers and in general for e-commerce, it's completely different rules than when, let's say, you would present your prices on your website for your services. For example, when I would talk to you, I would rather recommend not using the 99 at the end and just completely make it as simple as possible. If you have some sort of pricing structure, make it so quickly consumable that it's just easy to understand and comprehend the price very quickly. Instead of doing 549.99 with discount of 15%, and all this complexity is not necessary. So it's just simplify. And plus, people, when they're buying online services, they're so used to seeing sevens at the end. I don't know if you noticed, many internet marketers are using sevens when they're selling courses. Like, there's a 7 at the end,
Mm-hmm.
997 or 697. Yeah. It's a good idea to probably follow the same trend, just because psychologically, when we see something that we see a lot, then it's easier to understand it quickly. If it's unusual to our eye, it makes it like you have to stop and think about it. And sometimes we're not ready for that, pain. So we just move on. For example, I went to this restaurant, and usually, like Starbucks, you go, there's $3.50, there's $1, there's $5. I don't know, obvious Starbucks prices maybe in Turkey. So, but they're rounded and easy, and then I went to this other coffee shop, and it had weird prices like $2.41, and then the next one was $1.86, and you have to think and squint, and just it makes your brain hurt a little bit. So you totally want to avoid that when you are deciding your price. So when you are not an Amazon seller, but you're selling high ticket products, I would always round your prices, make it as simple as possible. And same applies for services and products online. Now, there's another thing with the comprehension of the price. Very often we have coupons on our listings. And when you have a coupon, it's very easy to quickly lose the customer with the complexity, right? If you're going to offer $25 price and then 15% off. So now you have to figure out the 15%, and it's not easy, right? 10% off is $2, another 5%, another $1. Okay, so there's like extra step it takes to consume it. And because we are skimming everything, we are not going to do it. So it just has to look good from the first glance. So best is to probably offer, $21 with $3 off. That is very quick. You can tell that you're paying $18 for it.
Versus a percentage.
Right. Or you can just give 10% off. The easy
Right,
percentage.
right.
So whatever is the more easy, that's the more clicks you will have into your listing, because their eye will then skim the price, they comprehend it, then they move on to check something else, either your image, your title, or your number of reviews, and then they stay with your listing. They don't want to squint and move on to something easier, right? So it's important to always make it as simple as possible.
Yeah, anything to decrease that resistance to purchase, right? Like you want to get people to, clicking that buy box as quickly as possible without there being a lot of resistance. So we talked a little bit about using 99 versus 95 versus 00. We talked about the coupons. What do you have any other little psychological tricks that you can think of? I think this is fascinating.
Yeah. So what I didn't say about the coupons that um, it's sometimes, on Amazon, we have a choice. We can either have a dollar amount or percentage off. And it's hard to choose sometimes which one to use. For example, there's a price of $25. And now you could either give $10 off or 40% off, right? They're equal discount. But is it $10 you're going to choose or 40%? And it's hard to tell. But when you would write them down on the paper and look in front of you, it will be very obvious. You will just feel it. There is no rule. So that's hard when I tell this to people. Just feel which one is a better deal. They say, I can't feel such things. Well, just look at the numbers and you will see that $10 seems like a smaller number than the 40, right? Because it's a smaller digit, right? So it's basically 40% off seems like a better deal because it's more significant from the first glance without making the math. Right. So same would be if the price is $450, for example, and then discount is either $100 off or 22% off. So again, 100 is like now is the dollar amount that is bigger. So whichever you feel like is the more significant discount, that's the one to go with. There are many different rules that psychologists are placing. They say if you're selling something less than $100, use the percentage because it will appear more significant. But on Amazon, we all are selling products that are less than $40. So because of that, most of the time you just have to judge from how it feels like, which one feels like more significant. And that's the one I would go for. But don't jump into changing all your prices immediately. Also look at your competitors on the first page, right? So look at your main keyword, at your closest competitors, especially those which are side by side next to you, because the customer will actually compare by skimming. So sometimes a good idea is not to invent your own price that is easily comprehensible, like I mentioned. It's sometimes a good idea to copy the little bit more complex variation that the competitor has. If he is the best seller with the bestseller tag and he has $21 with 5% off, I would also make exactly the same $21 with 5% off. Because when I'm skimming the first two listings, suddenly price is irrelevant, right? Then I am thinking about other benefits, like how many reviews they have, what's the image look like. I'm thinking about something else, not the price anymore. If you change $1 different, like I'll be cheaper than competitor. Now suddenly they have to think, this guy is cheaper, but he just wants to my sale, but this one is more popular. So you make them think all that through, right? So don't make them think about it. Just copy the competitor exactly. Sometimes that works as well, instead of using my strategy.
This is cool. And I'm just wondering how many people actually sit down and think about the psychological impact of pricing and are actually thinking these types of things through when they're creating their listings on Amazon or going through there and tweaking their pricing or whatever. I wonder how many people are actually doing it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone does it really at all. It's probably it goes back somewhere in the back of our brain, right? In the back of our head. That's the part of the brain, the same one that you use when you're driving. You don't even think about it. You already made the turn, and you just think, was it red or green? I don't know. It's the same when you're skimming you're skimming the prices. You thought it's a better deal, but you don't know why. Well, because it had a 9 in it. You've seen the 9s everywhere. Right. So it works all like that.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. So what about doing with your pricing, doing split testing? Do you recommend people, is that even worth digging into, split testing with the pricing?
Yeah, it's a very good question actually with the split testing. I am actually against split testing. And there are many apps that build their business around the split testing, right? There's Splitly and Cashco Pro, and there's a few others that do just that, right? And in general, the thing is with split testing, you have to have statistical significance to make the test even worth it. What do I mean by that? If you have just 5 sales a week, you can't really decide, that this price worked. There could be 100 of other things that happened, around it.
Mhm.
And also it's really hard to come up with a clean test. For example, PPC goes supply and demand curve, right? So you have to kind of turn off the PPC so it wouldn't influence your sales. And then competitor may change something, season may come, so all of these different things can happen. But I still did run split testing on my account. And the way I did it is this. There's this tool online, any tool that you can Google, which will say statistical significance calculator, but the one I use is abtestguide.com. So you just go there and you would go first to your Seller Central. From your business reports, you would check how many sessions you normally get a week to your listing. So for example, I mean by that, how many people click into your listing. So the session percentage, so-called on Amazon. Let's say 600 people click into your listing every week, right? And that's the number you put into that calculator. You say, I'm getting a week 600, and then you give them the conversion rate on the listing. So if yours is 15%, you put the 15%, and then they will ask you, okay, what's the one that you want to have? You'll put 18% I want to have. Don't ask for a huge jump from 15 to 20 because then the test will take forever. And the point of calculator is to tell you how long you need to run your test in weeks. So you have enough statistical significance to decide that that is actually what it is, right? So, and then when you put in all that data, it will tell you 4.5 weeks. So now you know that on this product, you have to run one price for 4.5 weeks and another price for 4.5 weeks. But that usually is a bad way to do it because a stretch of 4 weeks usually is in some season and then it changes. Many things change over that long of a time.
Yeah.
So it's better do 1 week of one price, 1 week of another price, and then skip the season, whatever the high season is. Cinco de Mayo came, switch that up. And then again, 1 week of that, 1 week of that. So just keep testing until you fill up those 4 weeks, and then you will get closer to the truth. So I would only do these tests on your high volume sellers, and I would not really switch the price very strongly, because if you have a high seller that is worth testing and it has statistical significance easily, the thing is you already in high ranks and you're really worried to lose that rank, right? So it's not so easy to quickly just make any changes for the thing that is not broken.
Don't fix it, right? Don't fix it if it's not already broken.
Because of that, I am pretty against split testing in general, but it's still possible. What I say, do it carefully, but watch it. Don't just leave it, put on splitly this test and come back in 8 weeks. Don't do that. Come every few days and check if your ranking is dropping. If you see suddenly number of sessions decrease, just switch off the test. Don't risk your listing like that, because once you are down to page 10, it's very hard to come back from there, so it's risky and it's hard to make and it's really unreliable. So I would say split testing is probably, you'll have to go with other strategies than split testing. And I guess I could talk a few about my strategies that I use instead, if you like.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. It kind of sounds like split testing might be a fairly advanced strategy.
It is, yes, definitely. There are so many variables and you have to have so much experience with that. And it's very hard to have a good test.
Yeah. So are you open to talking a little bit about your strategies?
Sure. So
or are these trade secrets?
Well, no, I guess not. I can share. So the way most of us, no pressure, the way I used to decide the price, and probably many of my friends and many of the listeners do decide the price like that. So you have your product and you just judge by your own personal spending habits. You think, if I have a knife sharpener that I'm selling, and I would never spend more than $36 for it personally, so then who's gonna pay more than 36? I'm gonna just charge 31. You judge from your own limit of how much you would pay for it. And that is probably the wrong thing to do, because there are many different buyers, right? Different types of buyers based on their income, on their buying habits. And there are so many things in your own financial limitations box. You are sitting and deciding your price is probably not the best way to go about it. So try to climb out of it, remove that box from yourself, and just forget about that $36 that you have in mind. And the same applies, especially it's nice to think like that about online services. Very often, if you sell something online and you are just thinking, oh, I would never spend $2,000 for a course. I don't have that much money, and you never charge more than that, is the bad way to think about it. So try to climb out of it. Now, how to climb out?
That's really hard.
It is hard, yes. But the way to climb out of it is to think about all the possible range of different incomes and different buyer habits. Like, who are they? Who are potential buyers that could buy your product? On Amazon, I could tell you there is one research done, and I forgot the name, Twits and Tights, something like that. So that's the name of the scientific study that was done. They calculated what percentages of different types of buyers exist for e-commerce. So they said that there are 24% of bargain hunters and only 15% of luxury buyers. So there are just very few luxury buyers for e-commerce products, and the rest, 61%, is sort of the average spender, which is not so affected by the price. They're just looking for good deal and good product. So the first one is really like, so to say, Scrooges, right? They are really looking for the cheapest, and my brother is like that. So he really has all the plugins on his Chrome browser and checks the cheapest of the cheapest. He's gonna get the best one.
Spend hours to try to save $2.
Yes, exactly.
I've seen these people.
But actually, very often those people are the richest kind.
So true.
They are the richest, and you can't tell by the income which one they are going to be. It's not always the one who doesn't make any money. Sometimes people who don't make any money are the biggest spenders.
Yeah.
By that buying habit. And I am unfortunately one of these big spenders who don't look at the price too much. I find it too big of a hassle, especially if it's in a lower price range, let's say less than $200. In that case, I never really research the price. I just look at the benefits. So that's what luxury category happens in the big spenders world. You just look at the benefit. Will it match the color of my kitchen? What my friend is going to say when she sees this dress? You're just thinking about that. You're not even bothering if it's $60 or $160. You're just still going to buy it if you like it. Mm-hmm. So now that there are those three kinds of buyers, right? Three types of buying behaviors. You should, even before you even launch your product and think about your price, you should think, who am I going to target? And if you're selling a knife sharpener, you could have three different versions of the same knife sharpener. You could go to your manufacturer, and if you're going to charge, $11, you're going to target those bargain hunters. You could tell your manufacturer, so please remove the stainless steel and put some cheaper metal instead, right? And you can do the same the other way. If you're going to target the luxury buyers, you can upgrade it, add some additional things, velvet bag, a nice box, and other things. And then you can charge $36 for that knife sharpener, right? So you could be all of the three. So now how do you decide which one of the three to even target? Well, that's the thing. You have to look at your competitors, and that is the best indicator. You have to really research your market, who is playing what game, because there is money to be made in all of the three buckets. Mm-hmm. If there is not enough competitors in the Scrooges, market, then go there. If there's not enough competitors in the luxury buyers market, go there. So look at mostly the first 20 results on your main keyword and judge from that. Now, don't jump to judge right away. Right now, you are probably listening to this podcast. You're going to open the page and look at the 20.
Doing the research.
Yes, but don't forget that you cannot judge from one snapshot. Remember, some of them could be running out of stock, adjusting their prices. Some of them could be not even on the page because they're out of stock. Mm-hmm. Some of them, the price fluctuates, right? They use repricers, they change it, and so on. They're doing promotions. So you have to base your decision on historical price average. So tools like Jungle Scout and so on, they show you the curve of historical price average, and that's what you should look up for each of your competitors. And then 2 weeks later, check again, because some competitors might not have even been on that first page and they came back into stock, and then you will have everything on your spreadsheet and judge the situation. What's the range? So judge how many of them are working in the bargain hunters, how many in the big spenders, and how much space. Now I will tell you how much space there is in terms of profit. If you have an option for all three of them, go for the middle, because the middle is the most profit to be made. If you calculate just 40% margin, just because I told you those percentages, there's 24 for the bargain hunters and 15 for the rest. If you put the numbers together and add 40% margin on those knife sharpeners, it turns out that the middle is the most profit. Second best is those luxury buyers. We would think that luxury buyer is the highest price, but actually because so many less of them are buying, less you're making in general. And actually Amazon started as a marketplace which was known to be the cheapest place, right? It was the biggest selection at the lowest price. Because of that, they attracted a big number of bargain hunters. And these days there are all types of buyers there. But I would say that 15% that the study said, for e-commerce in general, I think it's less on Amazon. So I would even guess that there is probably less than 15% of that type of buyer on Amazon, just because most of them are bargain hunters that come for the good deals. So that's the second best bucket. And the third one is the those bargain hunters. There you're working with $1 margin and so on. And I used to not recommend that bucket at all. And at one conference at SellerFest Israel, I was presenting this and saying on stage that I don't recommend this bucket for bargain hunters. After that, I had an 8-figure seller coming to me and saying, Paulina, I make 8 figures selling only for bargain hunters. And I make 50 cents of profit on each item, and I make a lot of money. So don't tell people that you cannot make money there. Actually,
you were, someone corrected you. So there you go. But,
exactly.
they could say we make 800,000, but at the end of the day, what are they taking home, right? Like, I would think that, I don't know. I mean, the expenses with that, would this really be, justified to even be in the bargain category? I don't know, because Amazon takes out so many fees these days, it seems like. So I don't know.
That's exactly right. That's my point of view also, because PPC needs some percentage, right? And then storage fees and refund rate is going to happen. There will be, many categories have an additional returns processing fee, which is in apparel, like my category, and anything that you can try on and return. Many sellers don't even know that there is this returns processing fee, which is an additional FBA fee. So you pay double FBA fee when the product is returned. So if you're working with 50-cent margin, what you can do, it's very, very hard to make money in there. So I would recommend for beginner sellers, don't look at bargain hunters, but if you are an experienced seller, it's probably one of the areas that you could look at if you have high fierce competition in the other two buckets. So that's when you ask me what's my secret comparing to split testing, what do I do? Well, I basically decide my prices based on competitors. I look at the competitors, analyze the market very well, like I said, on historical averages, and then I decide who I'm going to target. And only then I go to my manufacturer and I say, okay, let's make this knife sharpener to be for the luxury guys. And now so my whole product process actually is after I decide the price strategy. So it's important to think about it very early in your product development process.
That's really a different way of going about it. I like that. It's something I haven't really heard before, because people are usually product first, right? And then figuring out, but this is interesting because you're kind of taking like this reverse engineering approach. And I think that's cool. So have you ever kind of done your research and then gone to a manufacturer and did exactly sort of what you mentioned a minute ago about saying, hey, let's do a line of products that are going to be for the luxury market, but then let's remove features A and B and then make a line of products that are for sort of the middle market. Have you done that, like with the same arguably the same product?
Yeah, so the way I discovered this idea is I already had a product launched, and then I realized that competition was too fierce and the product was just average. It wasn't a luxury, it wasn't bargain, it was just in the middle. But in the middle were too many players and I couldn't compete. So I was getting 5 sales a day. It was not nothing, it wasn't worth really spending my time on it.
Mm-hmm.
So then I thought, okay, so let me look at the situation, and nobody really was playing the luxury game in there. And then I went to the manufacturer and I said, okay, for the next batch, could you add this? And we added another zipper and then include an extra present inside. And then we just puff up a little bit. So basically I'm in apparel, so always talking about apparel item. So we made it much better and we packaged it. We had a surprise inside, like a surprise insert that was not displayed in the listing, like completely made it a different experience. When you open those Apple products, how everybody always gives this example. So it has to feel good,
Yeah.
So we made the box always is like negligible, right? People say ignore the box because you're on Amazon, but you don't have to ignore the color of the box,
Right.
So I decided, okay, I'll make completely black box, just black, and then big golden letters gonna write my brand on it, right? So it's like you get this huge black box and there is this golden letters, and then your dress is folded inside like the wedding gown, with this little bit of paper around it. You know what I mean? So the experience of taking it out, like, oh, I bought something expensive, is different now. It's suddenly $169 dress comparing to that $39 dress, and it's almost the same item except it's a better quality material and all these accessories and experience that you're giving. So you can make a lot of money this way so that's how I discovered it. And then the next items, I already started thinking like that. Let me look at this one now. There's this t-shirt, so let's see who is there. And I decided that that's a good strategy, and that's how I started deciding all of my prices from that. Yeah.
I like that. That's really cool. So did you, with your 2 products at different price levels, were they under the same brand name, or did you create a new brand name for the higher level, more luxury product?
I completely discontinued the other one. So
okay. There you go.
in reality, I did a little bit gray area thing. I created a new variation on the same listing.
Okay.
So that it would, so once the old variation ran out of stock, I had this new variation now, right? Mm-hmm. So basically I waited for that to happen because I wanted to reuse the number of reviews, that the ranking had built up and so on. So I basically switched the price. But then what happens on Amazon when you jump the price too fast, too quick? They remove your buy box. Even if you are the only seller on the listing, they remove your buy box. And many listeners might not know what I mean. Well, what happens when you are the only seller and you lose your buy box? Now, inside the listing, instead of the button buy now, you suddenly see all buying options. And there's no more price. It just says one seller and you have to click it to see the price. Mm-hmm. And that kills your conversions completely. When you suddenly don't have add to cart button, you just see all buying options. That is not a converting page, So to jump that price, it cost me the buy box, and then I had to reduce the price and then just jump $2 today, the next day more, and then more. So it was painstakingly very, very hard to get to that $169. But once I got there, I was happy. And then the next product I launched, so I already launched with the launching price. Instead of 170 range, I launched it 120, so not 39, so that it's easier to climb up, So I basically launched a little bit closer to what I want in the end. But for the launch, you always start with a little bit less than your goal, 40% margin. And that's how it went.
Do you know why Amazon does that? Is that a security thing, or do you have any idea why they would do that?
No, they don't like people. I guess Amazon is all about good deals. So you can reduce your price as fast as you can, from 169 to 11, they will not say nothing. But if you jump the price up, they consider it as something happened incorrect. Like maybe you made a mistake, or I don't know. It's just, they like to present the best deals, the best bargains, and they consider big jumps in price like something like you're trying to use the buyers. I don't know, something that shouldn't happen.
What is the maximum product price that can be on Amazon?
Maximum price could be 300,000 US dollars in United States, and 240 British pounds, and 240,000 British pounds, and so on. So it's actually an interesting point you bring up, because I did try to have an item that is $300,000 in US. And the reason I was doing that is because there are many blogs that I've seen popping everywhere. The most expensive items you can buy on Amazon, articles like that. And I thought, I want to get onto one of those,
I want to be on that list.
Yeah.
That's like, have you seen that website, This Is Why I'm Broke?
No, I haven't. I should look it up.
Yeah, it's just thisiswhyimbroke.com. You might laugh at it because I think it's sort of I think they list like a lot of maybe affiliate type things, like, you know what I mean? I think that's sort of the point of it, but there's just some really outlandish things that end up on This Is Why I'm Broke. So you could end up on something like that if you have like a $300,000 product. So yeah, so tell me more. This is interesting.
Yeah, so I decided that I should get on one of those, and yeah. I've Googled for like the most expensive on Amazon. If you Google right now, there will be many, many, many results. And I thought it's probably every day they're popping up, so maybe somebody's going to pick up on mine. But so I basically went to my manufacturer and I said, okay, can you create for me this mini tiny little, I was selling accessories for dresses. And I thought if I create mini, like 2 millimeters by 5 millimeters size, a copy of that accessory, same like the big one, it would be, I could call it a magic amulet and charge 300,000.
You never know. There's a buyer out there.
Yeah. But I tell you honestly, I failed at that. Amazon actually sent me an email saying there is a pricing error, and if you want the pricing error removed, you have to prove to us that this is in fact worth that much money, so it has to be either authentic item or sacred, by the Pope or something like that. You have to have
proof. For sale on Amazon.
You can't just randomly price something that high. You have to go over the hoops, but I think those hoops are worth it if you do in fact have something unique like that. And I'm sure you could come up with something unique and ask some designer to sign it, and then you will have something like this. So that external traffic signal is always very good for ranking on Amazon, and once they get to your page, you never know. They may buy something cheaper, they don't have to buy that $300,000 item. Yeah.
I've, been on Amazon before and I've searched for things, and then how you can sort in order of pricing, and just out of curiosity, I've like ordered it from the most expensive to the least expensive. And I've seen things on there that are extraordinarily expensive for what the actual product is. And it made me kind of wonder, like, okay, well, maybe someone messed up with their posting or whatever, with their listing. But then I thought, well, maybe it's some like money laundering scheme or something. You know what I mean? Like some type of fraudulent activity going on with the transfer of money through that. I have no idea.
There are sometimes maybe not that high prices to 300,000, but for example, my products often appear in marketplaces that I do not sell in. So, let's say some products I do sell in Japan, but I don't sell all of my products in Japan. And I've noticed that products that I don't sell still appear in Japan, but price is 10 times the price that I sell in US. So these are normally drop shippers that are just automatic process. Like there are apps that do that. Scan everything that doesn't exist on Japan, relist it, and charge for shipping double the price. And that's the idea. And it becomes like that same dress could now cost $1,000. And then you think, who would price that? Or a napkin, like Kleenex napkin box, suddenly $300, and you think, who would pay for that? But in fact, I don't know, maybe there are people that really, really need that something that is not available in their marketplace very urgently.
A box of tissues, you never know.
No, but I bought something. I did buy something like that. For my kids, outside the little plastic house where you can play inside. And I really wanted this particular brand. And in Canada, in Canadian, Amazon was not available. I lived in Canada at that time. So I ordered 3 times the price. You know, even though it was $300 in United States, and Canada was $900, and I just still ordered it because I needed it right now for
You
that
need it for
birthday
the
party.
kiddos, right? I mean,
It was a birthday party, yeah. It had to be there.
I love
So
that.
there are people who pay those high prices, and I guess dropshippers are using that, yeah.
Yeah, sure, sure. So let's talk a little bit about I'm actually a Prime member, so I don't know what the threshold is now to get free shipping. Maybe it's is it $25?
$25 in
It's
US,
still
yes.
$25. So what are some, you know, like pricing strategies around like meeting that threshold, like to sort of encourage people to purchase? Like, should you, you know, price it $25.99 for a bargain, you know, just to kind of encourage that person to purchase? Because I mean, for me, I hate paying shipping prices, even though I know I'm paying it at the end of the day, even if it's rolled into the pricing, and here it is, a psychological process of it. But if I'm checking out, so, you know, on an e-commerce site, and they want to add $15 for pricing, or even worse, they keep adding more for shipping. I mean, the more you spend, you know, that discourages me from actually making the purchase, right? I would rather them just say free shipping and increase and like just have a little bit of an increase in the price. There's a psychological thing there. So how would that work on Amazon and pricing? You know.
You are very good at asking this question, because it's actually the most popular feature on the sidebar. There's this free shipping checkbox that you can check, and it's the most popular feature on Amazon interface. That's that checkbox for free shipping. You know, many people. Yeah. So if you do, in fact, if your prices are above the threshold of 25, or in France 29 euros, or, you know, whatever threshold in that marketplace, if your price is just above it, then you suddenly will appear in all of those search results for free shipping. So that's many more eyes looking at your listing. Actually, I did test it on mine. One of my dresses was $20.99, and I made this calculation that actually people were paying about $6 for shipping. So I was thinking, wait a minute, I'm gonna make it $25.99. So that will be $5 extra profit for me, and still 50 cents less for the customer to pay, you know, for the dress. So, and actually it did increase. I changed nothing else. It did increase. It didn't jump, you know, 50% up. It maybe jumped like 5% or 10% up my sales, but it did increase. So I'm not so sure, you know, there could be other things that, you know, like I said, there are so many factors. You cannot just decide that that was the only reason. But the jump was so significant that I'm thinking it was the main cause, you know, of that. And I was making extra $5 suddenly. And then I started doing that for all of my prices. So my advice to anyone who's listening, if you have any prices that are just below the thresholds, probably by $1 or $2. I'm not sure you can jump always the $5 that I did. In dresses, you know, you can jump a lot because there are not one-to-one competitor around you. But if you're having a knife sharpener and you are competing for dollar by dollar, you know, you can't jump that high that quickly. So if you have $24 or $23 in your price, then do it. Make the switch to $25.99, right? And same for all the marketplaces. It's really a good idea to make the switch and take a look at your statistics. Do nothing else, change nothing else, and then see how it's going to help you. And you will definitely see some improvement over there. Just, it's a very simple thing that you can do right now after this podcast.
Okay, so you said it's simple, and that I think that was simple, but I think that when you're talking about numbers and pricing, Paulina, a lot of people are intimidated. So you know, they're kind of intimidated by like the psychology behind it, and then they might be afraid to experiment with it. So is this something that Shopkeeper can help people with?
Actually, what we do is once you are a seller already and you do have some sales, then Shopkeeper is becoming useful. It's not before you deciding, while you are deciding and choosing your product.
Okay.
So Shopkeeper's main core feature is profit calculations. It's sort of like an accounting app for Amazon sellers.
Okay.
So it has profit and loss report. It predicts how many units you're going to sell and so on. So in terms of actual pricing strategies, it will not give you recommendations. So it's me who's giving you recommendations. But because I have researched a lot on how to, minimize the fees and find the problems in your business. So that's how I designed Shopkeeper to be, that when you look at all of your daily stats for the day or the weekly stats, you can immediately spot the problems. And that's the way the app is designed. So you lead your business by exception, right? You don't look at what's good, you look at what's wrong first. So you find those problems. Here, oh my God, storage fees got charged, or Amazon overcharged me on subscription fee, or this return processing fee, I didn't even know that it exists and it was added in here. So you find the red color on the app, and that's the thing to look into. And then you go to Seller Central, investigate what happened for this number and what happened for that number. So it really helps you to find the issues that you have to work on first. And that's the best thing you can have, especially when you're just beginning and you don't know all the fees associated with your products. And if you look at Seller Central Manage Orders view, in the Orders view, you will only see FBA fee, returns fee, and like referral fee, not much else. All other fees will be presented separately in the Transactions view. And then there will be an order ID, but you have to basically just go one by one and keep adding it up in the spreadsheet, which I was doing before manually, and it's very painful. So that's what Shopkeeper does, pulls all those different 72 kinds of fees and charges that exist on Amazon. They pull it together and show you how much you are actually making. And you may be surprised that you're making so much less than you thought,
No,
sadly.
Knowledge is power, right? So if you can learn where you're getting hit with fees on Amazon, you can know where to correct in the future. So it might seem like little changes, but I think that learning about, what's in the red on your app, making little tweaks here and there will impact your bottom line in the future. So I don't know. I think that's just the knowledge and information that app provides is pretty impressive. So Paulina, I want to be really respectful of your time and just start to wrap up, but I want to thank you so much for speaking with me and my audience today. I know that you've just been a wealth of information, and I think that what's really cool is that this has been very different than all of my podcasts, but you've given people something completely different to think about. And that's, how to approach this from a little bit different perspective. So I think that type of information is absolutely invaluable. And I'm grateful for you for being here. And I'm grateful for your brain to have created. I mean, I'm so thankful that we have people like you that can create things like this. It's mentioned that it's like kind of like being an architect. And so there's so much creativity involved. It's pretty incredible. Where can people find you?
So you could go to shopkeeper.com, and for those listeners that are listening, I have a surprise. So I guess I didn't mention that. So
good.
Okay. So normally our app has 14 days free trial, but I know for those new sellers that you can't really afford a long trial. You can't really afford any apps in the beginning, things are tight in terms of money. So I am offering 6 months free trial to anyone who is listening and have listened to the end of this podcast. So thank you.
Oh, I love it. That's so generous. That's so cool.
So 6 months is really useful, especially for beginner, to look at your numbers and see where you are losing your money. So it's very nice. The way to claim it is you have to go to shopkeeper.com and you'll see the little chat bubble that most websites have. Just open the chat bubble and type in the code Stingray 180. So Stingray, the fish. So all capitals, Stingray 180.
Okay,
Yes.
and I'll write that in the notes too. We'll have like a link directly to it with instructions. So
All right, sounds good. And then you will get the VIP status, and then you can have a long trial to enjoy.
that's so generous. Thank you so much. I'm sure
You're
people are
welcome.
very appreciative of that. So, but Paulina, thank you again so much for being here. I'm very grateful. So, is there any parting words you want to say? Any like one piece of advice you would give a new online seller?
If it's a new seller, usually new sellers are very stuck on product research phase. I would say, please don't be stuck right now. Just go and order one item, 5 units from AliExpress or 1688 just to test the process. You don't need to research your best product, your niche, your nothing. Just the random first one that you catch, just to learn the process. You learn how to create the listing, learn how to label it, where to even put the category, how to contact sales support, all of these things, just 5 units. You can start it today. And after that leap of faith, you don't need to even jump it. You'll be already there, You'll
be there, yeah. I feel like there's a lot of analysis paralysis, or perfect product syndrome, where people are like, oh, I've got to get the perfect product. But really, they just need to put one foot in front of the other and just start making those steps. And one of the best ways that we learn things, unfortunately, is by making mistakes. So you know what? You order 5 units like Paulina recommended and you mess something up,
that's right.
It's a learning experience, and I do think that sometimes we get wrapped up in learning and oh, I'll be ready to do, and I'm guilty of this. It's why I'm talking about it, because I'm guilty of it myself. But you say you're going to launch or you're going to do this or that, but you have to do one more step and learn one more thing and make sure everything's perfect. But when at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to launch it, right? You just got to get out there and just do it. So
just do it. Yeah. Just do it already.
Just do it already. Thank you so much, Paulina.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great day.
You too.
Awesome.